this. Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now?
Well, ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering. America. Welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. Normally, the Senate Judiciary Committee is home to some pretty high-minded discussions about policy, discussions about judicial nominees, presidential appointments, things like that. It's a little bit more civilized, has a little bit more decorum. But this week, the committee was home to a public flogging of social media company presidents, heads, representatives, as they all were made to stand and account for their company's inabilities to better police social media sites for hosting content that harms children. The highlight of that whole committee hearing had to be when Senator Josh Hawley exchanged words with Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, demanding that Zuckerberg apologize for all the harm that his companies have caused to families. It was high drama, folks, and we're going to go through it all, but before we do, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. And if you like what you see and hear in this or any other videos on the channel, smash that thumbs up button, like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that good stuff, because all of that feeds that YouTube algorithm.
Yes, it must feed.
Thank you guys so much for all you do in helping to get the word out about the channel, spreading it around, sharing, commenting, everything that you're doing. Thank you so much for doing all of it. And for all you newbies out there, please consider subscribing. I hope today is the day I earn your subscription in talking about the exchange between Josh Hawley and Mark Zuckerberg. Hawley was completely relentless going up against Zuckerberg, holding him to account for the bad content on Facebook and Instagram that's harming America's children. Let's get into what he wants to talk about right now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Zuckerberg, let me start with you. Did I hear you say in your opening statement that there's no link between mental health and social media use?
Now, those of you who've been watching the channel long enough know
that's bait.
Let's see if Zuckerberg takes the bait and falls into whatever trap that Hawley has planned.
Senator, what I said is I think it's important to look at the science. I know people widely talk about this as if that is something that's already been proven, and I think that the bulk of the scientific evidence does not support that.
Well, really, let me just remind you of some of the science from your own company. Instagram studied the effect of your platform on teenagers.
The trap's about to spring.
Hawley's got some receipts to refute Zuckerberg's statements from his own company. I'm breaking out the popcorn right now.
This is gonna be good.
Let's see where it goes.
Let me just read you some quotes from the Wall Street Journal's report on this. Company researchers found that Instagram is harmful for a sizable percentage of teenagers, most notably teenage girls. Here's a quote from your own study. Quote, "We make body image issues worse for 1 in 3 teen girls." Here's another quote. "Teens blamed Instagram," this is your study, "for increases in the rate of anxiety and depression. This reaction was unprompted and consistent across all groups." That's your study.
Senator, we try to understand the feedback and how people feel about the services. We can improve.
Wait a minute. Your own study says that you make life worse for 1 in 3 teenage girls. You increase anxiety and depression. That's what it says. And you're here testifying to us in public that there's no link. You've been doing this for years. For years, you've been coming in public and testifying under oath that there's absolutely no link. Your product is wonderful. The science is nascent, full speed ahead, while internally, you know full well your product is a disaster.
Hot damn! This is what I love about Josh Hawley. He plans out his line of attack in these hearings. He knows the time he has. He manages it well. He has his research done. He does his homework. And he's using Zuckerberg's own words against him. And Zuckerberg's squirming already, which is uncharacteristic for him. If you watched him in previous hearings before the House and the Senate, there are memes about it. He's very robotic. He's very unemotional. It seems like he's trying to take a different tact here in refuting his own company's information and conclusions. I don't know if this is going to work out well for him here. It doesn't look that way.
For teenagers.
Senator,
and yet
that's
you
not
keep
true.
right on doing what you're doing. Right?
Not true.
Do you hear the applause in the background from the committee hearing? You never get that at other hearings when we're dealing with, presidential appointees, judicial nominees, things like that. This is a packed house even. Look in the background here. This room is packed with people, families, who are victimized by social media that had their teens harmed in some ways, whether it be by unaliving themselves or some other mental health harm. This is palpable tension in this room. Zuckerberg knows that his performance is not going well. You see his face right here. It's not good for him.
That's not true.
Let me show you some other facts I know that you're familiar with. Wait a minute. That's not a question. That's not a question. Those are facts, Mr. Zuckerberg. That's not a question.
Those aren't facts.
Here, let me show you some more facts.
Bizarre facts? What did he say? Did he say bizarre facts? Again, normally Zuckerberg is used to being in a room in this committee, very quiet, very cordial, very antiseptic, not with a crowd watching him. The crowd being there, I think, just my opinion, is unnerving him. And Hawley is sensing this, and he's ready to bring the hammer down.
Here's some information from a whistleblower who came before the Senate, testified under oath in public. He worked for you. He's a senior executive. Here's what he showed he found when he studied your products. So, for example, this is girls between the ages of 13 and 15 years old. 37% of them reported that they had been exposed to nudity on the platform unwanted in the last 7 days. 24% said that they had experienced unwanted sexual advances they'd been propositioned in the last 7 days. 17% said they had encountered self-harm content pushed at them in the last 7 days. Now, I know you're familiar with these stats because he sent you an email where he lined it all out. I mean, we've got a copy of it.
Here are all my receipts.
Oh, damn. Zuckerberg's cooked here. These are statistics from a whistleblower who then told Zuckerberg these statistics. Just imagine if you're a parent of a teenage girl. I don't have any kids, but I'm trying to put myself in those shoes right now. And there's a 20% chance of all this garbage, nudity, unwanted propositions, self-harm content. My God, it's got to be so horrible to be a parent these days, dealing with these issues with teenagers. You want to keep them happy. They want to have an active social life. That includes a presence on social media to deal with their friends, their family, to look up content. And you have to maneuver this minefield that Zuckerberg has allowed to perpetuate. Wow. This is, I called it a public flogging earlier. Yep. Sounds about right.
Right here. My question is, who did you fire for this? Who got fired because of that?
Senator, we study all of this because it's important and we want to improve our services.
Well, you just told me a second ago that you studied it, but that there was no linkage. Who did you fire?
I said you mischaracterized.
37% of teenage girls between 13 and 15 were exposed to unwanted nudity in a week on Instagram. You knew about it. Who did you fire?
Senator, this is why we're building all.
Who did you fire?
Tools. Senator, I don't think that's.
Who did you fire?
I'm not going to answer that.
Are you kidding me right now?
Because you didn't fire anybody, right?
Oh, that is not the right answer to give here. Zuckerberg is shook. You can see it on his face. He's frustrated with Hawley's demeanor, his rapid-fire questions. He's avoiding answering those questions and then flat out says he's not going to answer it. This is the worst I've ever seen Mark Zuckerberg in a hearing. And believe it or not, it just gets worse from here for him, which we'll see after the break. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. All right, let's let the flogging continue.
You didn't take any significant action.
It's appropriate to talk about
It's not appropriate.
HR decisions.
Do you know who's sitting behind you? You've got families from across the nation whose children are either severely harmed or gone, and you don't think it's appropriate to talk about steps that you took? The fact that you didn't fire a single person? Let me ask you this. Have you compensated any of the victims?
Sorry?
Have you compensated any of the victims? These girls, have you compensated them?
I don't believe so.
Why not? Don't you think they deserve some compensation for what your platform has done? Help with counseling services, help with dealing with the issues that your services cause?
Hawley has got Zuckerberg on an island right now. He's all alone. He doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what the right answer is. You can see it on his face. He's grasping for an answer, while Hawley is just hammering and hammering and hammering Zuckerberg here. It's amazing. This is a man that's usually unflappable in these hearings. There are memes of him being like Data from Star Trek, that he's an unfeeling robot. That's far from what's going on here. And those families sitting in the audience, they definitely have him rattled. And it's going to cause him to respond in an unprecedented way.
Our job is to make sure that we build tools to help keep people safe.
Are you going to compensate them?
Senator, our job, and what we take seriously, is making sure that we build industry-leading tools to find harmful content,
make money,
take it off the services,
to make money,
and to build.
And Bingo was his name. Oh,
Hawley's 100% on point here. It's all about the dollars, y'all. It's all about the Benjamins here for Zuckerberg. He keeps pivoting to all that he's doing to try to improve things, but clearly, in the years that have gone by with the same answer that's been canned and prepared for him, not much has improved. Hawley confronted him with facts, and you see that this is all about making Meta more money. But again, something unprecedented is going to happen here, and Zuckerberg is going to crumple to Hawley's pressure.
Tools that empower parents.
So you didn't take any action. You didn't take any action. You didn't fire anybody. You haven't compensated a single victim. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now?
Well,
they're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
Holy crap.
I'm sorry for everything that you've all gone through. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invested so much and are going to continue doing industry-leading efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
Oh my God, did we just win?
That's amazing. That's a scene that may become a turning point in government's ability to regulate social media. To have the face of these social media companies, Mark Zuckerberg, the head of arguably one of the biggest and most influential social media companies in the world, stand up and even feign accountability, is absolutely unprecedented. You saw the way the photographers were going. All the families stood up holding photos of their loved ones. Powerful, powerful stuff here. What you didn't pick up is what Zuckerberg actually said to those families. It wasn't really caught on a microphone because he turned around to address them. He's reported to have said, "I am sorry for everything that you have gone through. It's terrible. No one should have to go through the things your family has suffered. And this is why we invested so much and will continue doing industry-leading efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things your families have had to suffer." That's not necessarily taking accountability, saying that our company's efforts have failed you, that we take full responsibility for what happened to them, but for our failures, your family wouldn't have been exposed to such damaging content. He doesn't say all that. He doesn't go that far. But man, this is the first crack in social media that we've seen publicly from these companies in taking some accountability. It's a momentous moment. Josh Hawley should be very proud of himself for what he created here.
Josh, take a bow. Take a bow.
He really had that ball rolling downhill, and Zuckerberg was clearly shook from this point on with Hawley's examination. Good on him for busting Zuckerberg down. The method he used, the facts that he had, and the results are there for everybody to see. I think this might be a turning point in government oversight over social media. This sort of capitulation by Zuckerberg, who's normally, as I said, very robotic, very unemotional, very logical in his presentation. This could be a turning point that motivates government to take action to better protect children going online. I can be hopeful. It may not happen. It may happen. I don't know. But I got a feeling this could be a watershed moment that we just witnessed. But listen, that's just my opinion. I'm the eternal optimist here. Let me know what you think in the comments about this whole thing. What did you think about Zuckerberg cracking to Josh Hawley? I want to know what you think about his demeanor, the tenor of his statements, the confusion, his shook emotional state. Did the crowd have anything to do with it? Let's discuss it in the comments together. And please, as always, like and share the show with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. All of that to help get the word out about the channel so we can have a larger conversation about all the shenanigans and buffoonery that happens every day this week in DUMBmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.